go. Hey, everybody, welcome to the Forecast, episode 138. I'm just going to disregard that comment. The Forecast is a bi-weekly podcast produced, streamed, and sometimes released on Thursdays. We're a community of people love exploring and discussing all kinds of things, from video games and board games to film and TV to our everyday life experiences. If you'd like to know more about what we do, you can follow us at facebook.com/TheHorizonFB, or you can come hang out in our Discord channel, or you can check out our website at WeAreTheHorizon.com. We have a ton of original content for you to browse through there. One of those that I mentioned, Discord and Signal. Make sure you check that out. Also, everything we talk about is in our cast notes, which is pushed out to whatever podcasting app you are using. I'm Aaron, joined by a couple additional peeps this week. Chad?
Hey, yo, I'm still currently working, but I'm on the podcast.
Oh, yeah. Alex?
Hello, my name is Alex. You may
Owen?
have seen me in other Horizon
gosh.
features, such as the Discord and Signal.
Can you just intro yourself like Ko would intro himself in the Discord and
That was
Signal?
basically
was
like the whole voice.
Yeah. It wasn't enough in between. I need you to have like that, it's something like the inky blackness that is betrayal. It's very important you drag it out, Alex.
I like how I drug out that whole line in that scene.
Owen.
Hello, guys, gals, non-binary pals.
Caleb.
That's me.
And Jacob.
Typical Caleb.
Yeah, embarrassing. Hey, what's up? Hello, it's me.
I thought we'd start this week. We don't really have a segment because I'm just a really bad manager of making sure people have a segment, once every 2 weeks. But we don't really have a segment. But I thought I would like to mention that today marks the start of TI-10, which is the 10th international tournament for Dota 2. I worked. Alex sat next to me and didn't work. He just farmed trees on New World while we watched the internationals, which are happening in Romania and started at technically 2 a.m. and got over at 10 a.m. there. We watched it basically all day. And man, it's very few things I can sit through and just like continually watch, but the international is one of them. Is excellent.
Somehow I got convinced to not stay up overnight and watch it live, and instead just start from the beginning of the broadcast this morning when we got up.
It's not like you were going to watch all of the streams. I mean, they have 4 consecutive
I was going to
streams.
watch 4 streams at once is what was going to happen.
And
Oh my God.
You would have gained nothing from it.
I mean,
nothing. Nothing.
I would have gained some things.
Oh my gosh. A couple cool facts about the international this year and some sad facts also. It's happening in Romania, which is, I think this is technically the 3rd location it was supposed to happen because they've moved it twice. And a whole bunch of people bought tickets. And in fact, a whole bunch of people landed in Romania last week. And then Valve canceled the in-person portion of the event, which is oh so much fun.
Pretty sick.
I feel bad for all of those people. But they are there. The international is happening in Romania. They're still going to have an actual stage. Right now they're in group stages, which is for the next like 4 or 5 days. I don't remember exactly. But importantly, first place this year wins $18.2 million, which is the highest prize pool Dota 2 has ever had. Very exciting. Very, very exciting.
That is a lot of money.
Yeah, when are you guys entering?
I wish. If you get last place, if you get 17th or 18th place, which means you don't even make it past the group stages, you don't make it to any of the actual tournament, you still win $100,000 just for showing up.
So what is that, like 1 skin, 2?
Yeah.
Just...
I mean,
on.
that's like that's like 100 acts of fractoses if you're a Dota player. That's where it's at, the Axe of Fractos. It's
and
very
for
expensive.
the non-Dota players, what is that like?
It's $1,200 a cosmetic item
Cool,
for a single
cool.
axe on a single character. It's a lot. Anyway, if you're interested at all in watching some Dota, they have done a pretty good job of making sure that the streams are accessible. I don't know if they're doing a new player stream this year. Alex and I were talking about this earlier, but there's a bunch of good teams. The action's been pretty crazy already. I don't know, how many games have we watched so far? Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 maybe?
Probably 7-ish.
Yeah. Good games.
We're in the middle of one and we had to come do this crap.
And do this garbage
Oh,
podcast.
yeah.
Could have been watching Dota.
You can still do it.
God forbid.
Anyway, Dota2.com/esports. You can watch TI-10. Totally worth it. Even if you just go watch a few games. There are a lot of fun teams this year with a lot of different dynamics. In the first 4 games, 36 unique heroes were selected, which is a pretty high number considering there's 120 heroes. Normally, it's like a very small pool that they pick in professional esports Dota. So
I was gonna say that seems like a lot. For...
yeah, It's a lot. And they kind of, I think a lot of people expect that most of the heroes are going to be picked this year just because everything is not necessarily balanced, but everything is just all over the map. So you can kind of change up your strategy. It's going to be an interesting year.
Can I ask a stupid question?
Yeah.
Does TI literally stand for The International?
Yes, it does.
Yes, sir.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
I love it. 10 out of 10.
It's very dumb.
It is pretty
It's so
dumb.
good. What are you talking
I
about?
hate it. I hate it so much.
You just talk about the international, and everybody just knows. You're talking
Except
about
a
Dota
bunch
2
of people
esports,
don't know.
obviously.
Yeah, unless you don't, right?
It's like the Masters. What is that referring to?
Golf.
Golf.
Yeah.
No, that's actually a pretty good reference right there. The Masters.
It's a solid reference. I understand what you're saying
that's
now.
good. That's good.
So we just need to
Also-
convince the entire world to know that when somebody says the international, we're talking about Dota. Easy.
Exactly.
It's like when
Makes-
you go to regionals. Everyone knows what that phrase means. We're going to regionals, guys.
We're going to states. It gets even more exciting, Owen. I promise. Anyway, Dota2.com/esports. Go watch TI10, even if you watch one game. If you're a soccer player, like, I don't know, Derek, and you like PSG, they have a team this year. It's PSG LGD, and they're probably going to win the whole tournament because they're favored by pretty much every sportscaster for Dota. So feel free, go watch. It's really cool. Let's move on, though, to what have you been playing lately? And Alex, we're going to start with you this week.
Sure. I just want to mention two games that I've mentioned on here before, Jailbreak Deluxe and Rogue Heroes, because I beat both of them.
Nice.
Both
Humble
co-op
brag.
games.
Both pretty good.
Yeah, both pretty good. Cassie and I do a somewhat... I don't even want to say the word consistent.
It's a regular every Wednesday.
Some Wednesdays we do a co-op stream in the middle of the day, and we played Jailbreak Deluxe on there and beat it. It's 2-player co-op platformer, puzzle, stuff like that. Very fun. I do recommend it. Not even that long, but worth the money. Our next game, I convinced her to play Children of Morta with me, so we're gonna play that next.
Nice.
Good game right there.
So look out for that. I was like, you need to experience this game. It's very good.
So good.
And she was like, okay.
That took a lot of convincing. You need to experience this game. All right.
Sounds like.
And Rogue Heroes, Caleb was in on Rogue Heroes. That's a SAC event. We played with Sam and Cassie, and that game is super good. It's like one of my favorite games of the year, probably.
Yeah.
Came out
might
in
be on my
February, I think,
list.
technically.
Wow.
It's basically 4-player Zelda with like procedurally generated dungeons, and you're trying to clear the 4 dungeons across the land and restore balance
To the
to
force.
the force or whatever. Yeah.
It's important.
Also very worth it and very fun. And then finally, I played a demo called Happen Lance. I don't know why. It basically takes the mechanic from shoot, I forget the name of the game now. The name of the game where there's like the half man inside the cauldron with the hammer and you gotta make it up the mountain.
Getting over it?
Getting over it. There you go. Getting over it. It's basically that mechanic. It's a guy with a lance and you like use it to propel yourself off things like the hammer. But it's not built like one of those getting over it games. It's built more like here are challenges to get through, but if you fall, like you basically just start that one thing again instead of like starting the entire game over, which I appreciate.
It does sound less frustrating.
Mhm.
Yeah. Pretty cool. It still did get frustrating at points, even though I wasn't restarting the entire thing. It was just like it's still like the awkwardness of that control scheme is
Mhm.
like the hurdle to overcome. I don't know. But pretty neat. Pretty short demo. Check it out.
And that, ladies and
That's about
gentlemen, is Alex's shortest what have you been playing lately? Because in the back of his
Wow.
mind, he's like, if I get done quickly, we can watch more Dota.
I love this. Okay, 10 out of 10.
I'm up next. Speaking of Dota, I have been playing a lot of Dota, of course, because for the first time in the history of Dota, they released 2 compendiums for the same international, which is weird. The first one is the typical, you pay for it, you get cosmetics, cool things, and you just have a higher level compendium than your friends. which Alex and I typically compete for. We didn't last year, but the second compendium they released is like a, I don't know, almost like during tournament compendium that you actually cannot buy into. You have to physically do things in game. You have to do fantasy. You have to do make picks for what you imagine are the records for the actual tournament itself, like most kills, most banned, most picked heroes, things like that. Best players, best teams, longest game, shortest game, yada, yada, yada. Anyway, and from that, you get some pretty exclusive sets as well. This year's, because it's TI-10, kind of an important international for them. Everything is almost like stone and gold. Man, they look very nice cosmetics.
Yeah.
So we, Alex spent an hour, when was that, yesterday, going through all of your picks for the predictions?
Yeah. It was longer than an hour, really.
It's important to
I
get it
watched
right.
the full hour-long Purge predictions video where he explained step by step why he selected each prediction, and then still didn't even go with some of his predictions based on other data I was gathering.
There's a lot of people with predictions out there. You got to get it right, though, because that's the only way to get points, and that's the only way to get the cosmetics, and you got to get the cosmetics. It's very
And
important.
we're also playing fantasy. I mean, it's essentially fantasy football, but for Dota.
Yeah. It's cool
I've
stuff.
Selected heroes. I've selected players that if they perform well, then I'll get points. Pretty sick.
Very sick. So I've been playing some of that. Also been playing a lot of Diablo 2 Resurrected. We briefly talked about this because it was literally released the same day our last podcast came out. But that night we ended up playing some Diablo. I started a Paladin, played it for a while. Then I don't remember if Frank joined in later in the week. So I started a new character, played that for a while. And then at some point I just played 5 total characters all the way through Act 1. So if anybody ever wants to play Diablo 2 and start on Act 2, I have 5 different classes that I can play with you.
Is one of them barbarian?
The very last one I played was Barbarian, and I think it is my least favorite class out of the 5.
Oh,
Wow.
Hey,
wow.
What have you
Listen,
not
guys.
played?
I have not played the Necromancer because the Necromancer, you don't do anything except for summon things and then just stand there while all your minions kill everything. I have also not played, what's the Beastmaster guy's name?
Druid?
The Druid, thank you. I've not played the Druid.
Oh, Druid's
And
cool.
I have not played the Assassin. 'Cause-
Assassin's lame.
Yeah, the Assassin's like
Yeah.
one of the lowest rated ones in Diablo. Whatever.
Oh,
already
going on
almost
like
have...
tier lists, huh? You're
Yeah,
one of
I-
those people. We got to min max. You got
No,
to
I'm
select
not.
the.
I don't
tier list.
min-max things, Alex. Thank
It's
you
a,
very
it's
much.
a tier list based on fun, Alex.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
right.
Yeah.
got it.
Right. It's right.
Most
Got
fun,
it.
least
Sorceress.
fun.
I already almost have a full set of greens, so that's exciting. I feel like that doesn't happen until later in the game, but somehow when I play looters in that world, I just get things. It's just like playing Borderlands with me, while everybody has like a pretty lame gun, and I have like basically all oranges or whatever that category is of legendary. It's fun stuff. Very fun stuff. Chad, let's move on to you. What have you been playing? As he deletes his entire list. Chad is moving to the bottom. Owen, let's move on to you. What have you been
Sorry,
playing?
guys.
All right, cool.
Nice timing.
So I just played a new game for New Game Thursday that I've now just decided to pick up because, you know, I feel like other
Popularized by
people.
Alex.
Alex kind of dropped the ball in the new game, so I got a new one. And it's called Kenna, Bridge of the Spirits. And it's awesome. I really love it. It's basically plays out kind of like a Dark Souls-ish Zelda title, and I'm about 2.5 hours into it. And it's kind of awesome. I really enjoy the gameplay. The combat seems difficult and fun. There are these adorable little creatures that are called rot, and there's these kind of black little
Wait. Adorable creatures
Yep.
called rot,
Yep.
because in my mind,
Yep.
those are kind of opposing. But you know what?
That's exactly what I thought. But you like part of the game is you go around and you collect these little guys, and very Pikmin-like. You collect a bunch of them and then you use them to maneuver things in your environment. And like the more you have, the more bonuses and things that you get, and the more abilities that you have to be able to affect your environment with these little cute tiny little guys that follow you around and are adorable. I think the most important part of this game is their hats. because
It's important.
All good
everybody
games have
loves hats. But this isn't hats for you, it's hats for the rot. So you
even
can
better.
have this tiny little adorable, group of 15 or plus. I think I have like 18 currently following me around, and each one I can assign a different hat. So I have to buy the hats to give them, but like they all have adorable little hats too. 10 out of 10.
And you
Cute
pet the
game.
rot.
It's got a
Can you
really
pet the
Bride
rot?
and the Last Dragon aesthetic, huh?
I guess. Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. You
It
can
looks super
dance
good.
with the rot. I don't think you can pet the rot. You can feed them. I feed them a lot.
0 out of 10.
I don't. Maybe you can.
Describes the whole game 0 out of 10.
Yeah.
Can't pet the rot. Get out of here.
But that's been pretty fun. Also, I on stream have finished up playing Ocarina of Time. So that was a nice throwback, celebrating the 25 years of the N64 this week. So
God, I feel old.
Is that real?
Yep.
Oh my god.
It is 25 years old this week, so just enjoy
Goodness gracious.
that.
Thanks for that, Owen. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. But yeah, so I beat through that. That was a fun thing that I did on stream, and that is all prepped for now for our 24-hour stream on November 17th, where I will fight Ganon with a bottle and also do the water temple with
2 hearts.
With
2 hearts.
without the water tunic.
Come on, Owen. 2 hearts. You got it. I believe.
I want you to know I did try to do one of the temples without taking more than 3 hearts worth of damage, and then the first thing that hit me took out half my health bar, and I was like, "Fuck this."
I mean, honestly, if you just get good, you could get through
Yeah.
the temple.
So hopefully I can break 3,500, so I can do those, because that's my challenges of, hey, if I break my goal, I will put those into the stream. Also, in the things that I've been streaming, is I've started a Nuzlocke run of Pokemon
boy.
Emerald.
What is it? What?
Yeah, okay, so there's this thing called Nuzlocke. And so basically what it is that you can only capture the first Pokemon in every route, like, section that you go into. And if it runs away or faints, you're screwed. You don't get any Pokemon from that area. You can fight as many Pokemon in that area as you want, but you can't capture anymore. And it's also permadeath, so any of your Pokemon that faint are gone forever. You never see them again.
Excellent.
Yep. I'm trying to think of the other rules that go with it. Oh, you have to nickname every single Pokemon. Because the idea is that you're getting attached to these Pokemon that you're using. So that's kind of what the Nuzlocke part of it is. I tried to do it on Pokemon Emerald because I've never played Pokemon Emerald before, so I wanted something new. And I thought it'd be entertaining to kind of go through different Pokemon that I've never actually played through.
Played Emerald.
Because I played
I've
Red,
played Emerald.
and then I played Sword. So that's
That's surprising.
yeah.
Why'd you get sword?
2004.
It's rough, buddy.
Because I didn't want to go Shield.
No, like, why not get one of the good ones? You know, there were a bunch that were good, and then they made sword.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. A lot of it was because I never had any of the handheld consoles, so I never had a DS or a DS 3D, whatever,
The
DS Lite.
DS3, that's
DS3,
what it's called.
yeah.
I
I
don't
feel
know.
that, buddy.
PS3.
I didn't grow up with a handheld console either. All right, I had to borrow.
I had a Game Boy Advance SP, so in theory, I could have played Emerald when it first came out. I just didn't.
Man, way to contradict yourself.
Yeah.
Never had a handheld console. I had the most
Look.
popular one, though.
Look, Jake
With all the
asked
good
why I
Pokemon
didn't
games.
play any of the good ones, and I know the good ones are like
On
what
the not
Diamond
most
and
popular
Pearl, and like that they're remaking, or Black and White, or whatever the ones that they're also remaking with.
Honestly, the first 3 are the best 3. Hot take. Hot take on Pokemon. You heard it
Yeah?
here first.
Why
First
didn't
3,
you
best
start
3.
with hot take, Jake? We could. This could have been the
wait,
segment.
You're saying what? Red, blue, and yellow, or are you saying like?
No, the first 3 generations.
Okay, so that's
Generations.
Gen
Red,
1, Gen
blue.
2, Gen 3.
Yeah, and
Honestly-
Emerald's Gen 3, right? Right?
No, Emerald is Gen
No.
4. Have you
Oh,
even heard
fuck.
of Pokemon before? You're embarrassing me.
Emerald's like a spin-off of Ruby and Sapphire.
I'm gonna go back
Is
to...
that right? Am I off by one? Pearl and Emerald is what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
You are
The-
correct. I'm embarrassing myself.
Diamond and
Yeah,
Pearl.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure that Emerald was like the...
You are right. You are
was-
right.
Yep, okay. It is Gen 3, so ha!
Fine. I take
You
it all
had
back.
gold,
Look,
silver, and crystal, right? Was the
The
second
amount
gen.
of Kyogres and that I have in Pokemon Go tell me that I know Gen 3. So yeah, I've been playing that, and that has been A, it's a fun game. B, the Nuzlocke run is a very interesting challenge because occasionally you just get crit out of nowhere, and then Churchill dies, and now you're a sad person because Churchill's dead, and you're just like, well, fuck. I don't know what to do anymore. I was feeling really good at the start of it because I was like, look at all these Pokemon I had, and then a bunch of them faded, and I'm just like, oh dear God, this is way harder than I expected.
It's also like a one-shot run, right? Like if you black out or white out or whatever, you lose.
Yeah. No, you're done. So I can't completely lose all of my Pokemon. I have to continue going.
It's like Diablo 2 hardcore character.
It's-
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's exactly
it's
like that.
difficult.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Hardcore Pokemon.
That's right.
But I'll
Don't
also be
Google
playing a bit
hardcore
of that
Pokemon.
also on the 24-hour stream. I'll be playing a little bit of that in my like me time when we're waiting for all
Don't
of
call it me time.
all
I
of
mean,
our
it's important.
schedules.
It's important he calls it me time. His camera
Call
won't be
it
on
me
during his me
don't
time, but
Google
he will
hardcore
be playing.
Pokemon. Just
What Google image search hardcore Pokemon?
Oh my gosh,
No.
Caleb! Let's move on to you. What have you been playing lately?
Well, I'll start off just with a quick one. I've been playing more Pathfinder, Wrath of the Righteous.
No way.
Right?
No way.
You want to talk about another
Yeah.
Frank's on here?
Yeah, exactly. So I've started seeing the cracks, so to speak, the
Oh,
lack
no.
of polish in the later areas. Lots of bugs. It's yeah, it's kind of wearing me out a little bit towards I'm getting to the end of Act 3, I think, and there's like 5 acts. And I was reading
You
about
think-
it. Apparently the 5th act is like super rushed and not very good also. So
wait,
That's
what
a
act did you say
shame.
you were at?
right? 3.
3?
Yes, I have like 80 hours in the game. I'm like
You have more than
the end
80
of
hours,
Act
sir.
3. It's
You
gotta be
had
close, right?
96 the last time I checked, which was
Okay,
like,
96
I don't know,
probably
4
right.
days ago.
I haven't played it much. recently.
Oh, I haven't
This
played
last
it much
week.
since September. Yeah,
Yeah,
all right.
it's about 96. There you go.
Yeah, so we'll see. I don't know. It's gonna take
I
me a while to get to the
cannot
end
believe
of
it said that.
with all
Do you
this.
think they made the game so long that they were like, oh, we can just phone it in at the end because nobody's ever actually going to get to this part?
I don't know.
That would be
I
funny
mean,
if they did.
Or is the game actually that long, or is this like the inverse of what Caleb normally does in video games, where he always plays them way faster than the
Yeah.
normal time? This time he's like quadrupling it because it's Pathfinder. He's like, this would be
Playing
so much
this
better if
game-
this was 2E.
Playing this game terrifies me based on Caleb's playtime.
Honestly, I think it's because I had the same issue where I was like, wow, it doesn't feel like I've been playing that long. Playing in turn-based mode is
Yeah.
really slow.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I think it's the better experience,
Mm-hmm.
but I
For
do
sure.
think playtime-wise, it's built more to do real time.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think the game would not be nearly as long if you did it in real time.
Yeah.
But it also wouldn't be nearly as
I
fun.
wonder how long
I
it beats
agree.
us.
It said
It's-
36 hours for main story, which
Are you?
there ain't
Yeah.
there ain't no way.
Are you sprinting through the main
I was
story?
gonna say, even
There's
with
no way.
real time, I don't think that's right. Maybe on the
Mhm.
easiest difficulty, it's that short.
Completionist is 121.
Yeah, it feels better.
Completionist.
That's
Caleb,
like
how-
100%.
And then whatever the fuck Caleb does.
you're like three acts in,
I'm at the end of the 3rd act. Yeah.
and is it 6 acts, just like a 6-book
It's 5.
AP? Oh, it's 5 acts. Okay.
Yeah.
Was it a 5-book AP?
No.
Interesting. They
At
just
least I don't think
they were
so.
like, you know what?
Just
We're gonna
cut
take these
one. They're
last
like,
2
"This one
books and just
sucks."
yeah, just cut it entirely.
All right. Well, other than that, because that game's annoying me now. Other than that, I've been playing some mystery games off the back of Deathloop. I decided I wanted a little more mystery, so I picked up the Forgotten City, which was an old Skyrim mod that they released standalone on Steam. It basically amounts to a detective game in kind of a Skyrim world. You're in this ancient Roman city, and you're in, maybe light spoilers here, you're in kind of a time loop, living a day over and over again.
Oh God.
And there's this golden rule where if anybody sins, everybody dies.
Well, everybody dies.
No
then, I guess.
pressure. No
Yeah, that's
pressure,
right.
y'all.
Straight death.
Yeah, it's the
Game
the
doesn't
golden
last long.
rule. And so you're trying to kind of break out of the golden rule, figure out what's going on. It's pretty good. In my first loop, the first time I played it, I accidentally did like a bunch of stuff right. So I only needed to end up doing like 4 loops for the first time
Wow.
beating it.
Oh my god.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's
I
lucky.
just happened to do stuff like in the right order a whole bunch on accident.
Because he's
And
a
it
good
worked out
guy,
super
guys.
well.
He did everything like
Yeah.
the good
Caleb's
guy.
They're
real
like,
good at video
Don't
games.
sin. He was like,
No, not like
what is
that.
that? I've never
Yeah,
heard
what?
of that.
I don't even know what that is.
But it's a pretty good mystery to figure out, and it's got actually a pretty satisfying ending, I think. Which is, I don't know, the hit and miss in these games if they're going to have a decent ending or not, especially time loop games.
Someone say Deathloop. Someone say Deathloop was a really good ending. Really good. Really excellent. Definitely feels like something was resolved.
Mm.
Is it good?
The ending's terrible in Deathloop.
Okay. I
It's
got distracted
fair,
and I
not
haven't
good.
actually
Man.
finished. Despite being like pretty close to finishing that game, I haven't finished it.
The more I've heard you guys talk about Deathloop, the less interested I become at actually playing it.
That
The more
I-
literally
quite
was
good
my
game.
entire like hypothesis from our
Yeah.
last podcast, because you
Yeah.
guys started talking about it and I was like, wow, this sounds interesting. And the more you explained it, the more I was just like, you know what, I really don't care.
It's
I
like
don't like time loop games though.
Yeah, that's
I don't know why
mainly
you
the
would be
thing. You described it as
interested.
a time loop game, and I was like, oh, yep, okay, I'm out.
It sounds like when I was explaining my experience with 12 minutes, when Alex and I were explaining, or whoever else was playing. I don't remember who the third person was. Somebody else was playing it. But anyway, same thing. Like we're explaining, everybody's like, nah, I don't know. I mean, you started out positive, but you've mentioned like 37 things that suck about it. So
It's one of those games that I'm like, I think I have a positive opinion of this game. And then you start listing everything step by step, and you're like, wait a second.
Well, we talked about how like it's good, but it could be like amazing.
It could
And
be
they're
amazing.
just missing a
It
bunch
could
of
be
things
better.
that could make it like
Missing a
really,
whole bunch
really
of things.
good.
I
A whole
think
bunch of
the,
small
I
things
still
that
really
add
like
together to be
the
pretty
way
good.
I've thought of it is a good game, but it could be an amazing game.
Yeah.
It feels like if they just tweaked a few things, it could be really, really special. But it's just good.
if they
Deathloop
tweaked
2.
quite a few things just a little bit,
Yes.
it would be like, man, almost perfect.
it's a good thing making video games is easy, Caleb. You should just
Yeah.
fix it all for him and send
Just
it back and be
mod
like,
it.
hey,
It's a
I've
good
repackaged
idea.
this into a better game.
Yeah,
Just
maybe I'll
mod it,
mod
dude.
That's right. Good point.
You have the code on your computer. Just mod it.
For sure.
So another time loop game. I got back into Outer Wilds. They released a DLC called Echoes
Saw
of the
that.
Eye. Yeah, so I raved about Outer Wilds a while back because that game's awesome.
It's an amazing game.
Very, very good. Wait,
Owen, yeah, I don't think you played
Owen,
it.
Look, I like
Specifically
the Outer
didn't like
Wilds.
it. You specifically said you did not like it.
yes,
I
you
will
specifically
vote that
said
it is an amazing game. It is just not a game meant for people like me.
It's
Okay.
happening. Sure.
Oh man, That's-
Owen can have an objective opinion,
this is
I guess,
yeah,
about
that's
it.
right. That's Owen's
That
new
it-
segment. Owen's objective opinion.
Like, I don't like it, but I can see that it's
yeah,
it's good.
no,
It's
It was
likable.
the storytelling was great and it was absolutely beautiful. I hated the fact that I had to play through the same shit 50 times to figure out what the one thing different I needed to do to get into the next area. That is the thing that frustrates me, and that's why I was like, this is not a game for me. But like the rest of it, I was like, hey, this is cool. I like the space stuff. The plants were neat. Like I like the music. The atmosphere is awesome. Like I understand why people love that game. I understand why friends of ours have tattoos about that game.
Oh, okay, not to derail us. Caleb, do you mind if I ask
Go
Owen
ahead.
something?
Derail,
What is your
do it.
opinion on Majora's Mask? Because I know you love Zelda, but you hate time loop games.
Okay, so Majora's Mask is in the gray area of it reminds me enough of Ocarina of Time that I'm like, oh man, this is awesome, but it has the time loopy parts, and I'm just like, I think the saving thing that I like about Majora's Mask is that they dumb down everything enough that even though I have to redo everything, I know what I have to do. Like, I
Mhm.
understand it's just like, okay, I gotta redo everything so I can do that section. I have to redo everything to do that section. And that I'm okay with.
I think
So-
you'd like Deathloop then, probably.
Yeah.
I mean,
Uh.
maybe. I don't know.
I mean, it pretty
Like,
much tells you what to do, so you don't have to really.
That's true. It's,
yeah, if they tell you
worry
what to
about being
do,
stuck.
I'm a little bit more on board.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't want to know what to do. That's probably
Right?
the worst
Same.
part. Ugh, don't tell me anything.
You need to play
Make it
Outer
an
Wilds,
actual
You
mystery.
need to-
All
you
right,
need to play
all
Outer
right,
Wilds.
okay, all right.
But let me talk about the DLC for a minute.
Yeah, please do. Is it good? Is it bad?
Yeah. So the DLC is super good. It's a new location in the same time loop. So it's just kind of separate
different
from
planet?
the story. Yeah.
Okay.
I wouldn't call it a planet, but yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So you find this new thing in the solar system and go explore it. And it's got a really spooky vibe to it. You like go to sleep and wake up in like a dark zone where you're carrying around a small lantern and there's some creatures walking around in the woods. It's got a really good atmosphere. And the mystery was pretty solid. There was one time I got stuck. I had to look up how to move on. And then I got past that section and then I saw a video of what I needed to do, basically. Like the game showing me what I needed to do. But I still don't know how I would have gotten there to figure out that I needed to do that without looking it up and doing it, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
Yeah. And I got to the end and I didn't know it was the end. Like the ending of that section happened. And I was like, this the end? Is there more? So I had to Google that too. And it just kind of stops. I think there's some minor changes in the cutscene that plays at the end of the game if you finish it after doing the DLC.
Oh,
But
that's interesting.
it was just very unclear that I had gotten through all the DLC content.
Weird that they didn't clarify that more, but
Yeah.
So is it meant to be like, at this point, is it meant to be played like as part of the main thing?
Yeah, so it's not necessary to complete the main game in any way, but you can just do it alongside completing the main
Gotcha.
game. And it gives some new information about the solar system and whatnot. But pretty good. The last game I played is this game called Chernobylite, which, as you might guess from the name, is kind of like a STALKER game.
Mm.
But less focused on combat and more focused on exploration and base building. So you have this like abandoned warehouse that you're like building up and staffing it with people who go on missions for you, and you're like building up to this heist on some, I think, government-owned facility. I haven't gotten to the heist part yet. I'm kind of they use the word heist, so I'm kind of interested in it, but I don't know if it's going to end up being like a like a GTA heist or anything like that. Set up missions and whatnot.
that'd be cool.
I guess we'll see.
It'd be kind of weird in that universe. I feel like I've set up missions
Right?
before you go into whatever.
What are you
Yeah,
wasting?
seems a little odd.
You're in the
I know.
exclusion zone. Like it's not like they have like a whole bunch of checkpoints and whatnot. Once you're
Well,
in, you're in. It feels like.
Not
Okay,
in
so
this
they-
one.
So
There's
they
a
do have
bunch of armed
checkpoints.
soldiers walking around everywhere. Some
Oh, that's weird.
government agency
Okay.
has taken over. And
Interesting.
For
They're
a
all
second, I thought it was going to be like Army of the Dead. It's like a heist, but in an area that's not necessarily occupied by people.
well, there are also monsters around.
Would you call them zombies?
No,
Sorry,
wouldn't call
I'm
them
suddenly
zombies.
now more interested.
Yeah, I saw your face right when Alex said that. You're like, oh yeah, all right, Army of the Dead.
Hey,
speaking my language.
It's a great movie.
man.
The exploration bits are kind of fun. You can even like craft traps and stuff while you're exploring, in case you want to, pick off some of those soldiers. I'm not into building stuff, so I don't know how far I'll end up getting in this game. Because there's a lot of that, it seems.
Yeah.
Seems cool though. I don't know that I would like the building aspect, but I love the exploration of STALKER.
There you go.
Yeah.
Excellent, excellent game. And I honestly it doesn't really feel like combat in that game. It feels more like encounters almost, because you're not
Yeah.
regularly fighting things. You just happen upon some weird, crazy thing, and you have to figure out how to kill it.
Yeah.
Most of the time, you're just looting and then exploring. So
It's
If
kind
they
of the
take-
same in this, I guess. Yeah.
Okay.
It's been a while since I played the Stalker game, so
Yeah, it's not as combat. Like, you're not just fighting waves of enemies or anything. It's more like you're just trying to sneak around, find your way through search, and then you just run into things that are not necessarily great.
okay. Then I think it's a lot like that with the extra building pieces added on and army maintenance almost.
I'm
You
really
have,
like
the agents or whatever.
I'm just really sad that they didn't name it CHERNOBYLITE, because that would have been.
I'm so glad they didn't. That's a mouthful.
There's been a lot to spell every time.
Yeah, no kidding. Jake, let's move on to you. What have you been playing?
All right. So I've been playing. I guess I've been on like a indie JRPG kick lately.
Lately?
Solid.
So last podcast,
I feel like, don't you do a lot of JRPGs though? And then like,
not usually. Not a whole lot. I mean, I'll get when I'll get really into it. Like Persona 5, I love, but it's not like I'm not like usually playing a JRPG.
Gotcha.
Last podcast, Deltarune Chapter 2 came out.
Mm-hmm.
For those of you who don't know, Deltarune is like the sequel to Undertale, made by the same guy. And he's just been doing it in like chapters. He announced like the week before that it was coming out that the second chapter was dropping, and it's free. And I wish I liked it more. I was kind of disappointed in this one. I mean, it's free, so like, kind of who cares? It's also short. It was like, well, not that short, I guess. It was like 6 hours, I think.
That's a pretty good amount.
Yeah, I mean, it's especially for free.
Mm-hmm.
That's nothing to complain about. The writing's still good. The characters are still fun. I just felt like, I don't know. I feel like I don't really know what's going on in the game. I feel a little bit like I'm not really invested in it. It also felt like it leaned a little too heavily on just like cutscenes, which is kind of a silly thing to complain about in a JRPG. But it felt like I would do like 3 fights, and then it's like, okay, here's another 10-minute cutscene to watch, and I'm like, man, I kind of don't care about like what's going on. It's also like not clear what's like real and what's kind of fantasy. I don't know. I think there's gonna be 7 chapters of this.
Cool.
So we'll see about that.
Does you not knowing what's going on have anything to do with Chapter 1 having come out a while ago, or is it just...
No. I remember Chapter 1. It's just, okay. I think it's things are ambiguous, kind of. Yeah, so parts of Chapter 1 suggest that rather than like this other world being like an actual place, it's kind of just like almost like you and this other character are basically role-playing. You're kind of like playing D&D. Like you go into this other world and you fight a bunch of like enemies that are based on a deck of cards, and then like at the end, the lights turn on the room and you see there's just a deck of cards scattered all over the ground. It's like, oh, like were they just dicking around with a deck of cards? I don't know. I'm probably being too harsh on it. Maybe my expectations were too high. But I was kind of down on
like
Deltarune
Undertale's
Chapter
like
2.
your favorite game, right?
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Right.
So
There's
that's
no way
that's
expectations aren't too high.
Right.
Yeah, I know. It's so not fair. But even compared to Chapter 1, I preferred Chapter 1 to Chapter 2.
Has he said how many chapters he's planning on publishing?
Yeah. So at the end of this game, I believe it's 7.
Okay.
It shows like a chapter list. And it's like Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 are filled out, and then the rest are just blank right now. So we'll see. I think he's gonna start charging after this one. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of hard to judge a JRPG off of the first 2 chapters, because it's like, it might not even have hit the main idea yet. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it has potential. I'm hoping it comes together a little bit more later. But for now, I was a little disappointed by Chapter 2. And the other JRPG I've been playing a lot is a little game called Omori. If this game came out like 6 days later than it did, it would probably be my game of the year this year.
Oh, wow.
Came out on Christmas 2020.
Oh,
no.
Which is really disappointing to learn. Yeah.
I have a lot of games that came out in December of 2020 that I'm just like rough.
Yeah, no. It's I didn't even know this game freaking existed until like a month ago, maybe. But it's really, really good. I liked it a lot. It does this really interesting thing where like it's actually, after talking about Deltarune, it's kind of similar. It has like a real world section and then sort of like a fantasy section, and does a really good job juxtaposing those two, because the like fantasy kind of sections are really bright and colorful with a lot of pastel colors, And then the real world parts are where all the scary horror stuff lies, and it's darker. That's something I also really like, just in general, is that kind of juxtaposition between like kind of happy pastel stuff and like scary horror. It leans more into like creepy stuff rather than like jump scary type stuff, and then by the end it's actually really kind of sad. The story kind of takes a turn and ends up being kind of sad and kind of touching towards the end. But I liked this so much. I was kind of iffy on it at the start, but I'm glad I pushed through because it's really great.
It's been on my list for a long time, but I just haven't got a long time, a year almost.
I hope you like it, is what I will say. I don't know that it's your kind of game. It's my kind of game, so I don't know. No one else here really liked Undertale except Owen.
Yeah, I loved Undertale.
It's
so
got big
I'm
Undertale energy.
Okay,
It's another
I'm
one
writing it down, mate.
It is so like Earthbound. Earthbound is what I kept coming back to when I was playing it. It feels a lot like that. There's a lot of parts that remind me of, no one's gonna know this, Yumi Nikki. Caleb, you at least have heard of that game.
I vaguely know what that is.
There's a part towards the end that feels like just an improved version of that, in my opinion. I loved it so much. The ending's so good. The character portraits, just all of the characters have like this kind of hand-drawn feel, where like, not like if you hand-drawn animation, not any of us can animate, but if you see like a hand-drawn animation, it's kind of like shaky because they didn't draw it perfectly the same both times. It's kind of got that going, so it gives it like this really endearing kind of quality. But yeah, no, I love the hell out of this one.
Does it have a nice spoopy atmosphere in the creepy sections? It's pretty good at that.
Yeah, it's weird because the parts that are creepy, I feel like, are kind of few and far between. It's a lot more of like the upbeat stuff, but I think that makes the creepier parts a lot more effective. That kind of gets flipped at the end, though. At the end, you get like a solid maybe 2 hours of creepy horror stuff that kind of devolve into like depressing sadness. Stuff. Yeah. Yeah, it's also, I should mention, it's a fucking long game. My playthrough clocked in at 17 hours.
Oh, okay.
For a $20 game, that's pretty solid.
Yeah, no, it's
value.
It is a lot longer than I thought.
Pretty short for a JRPG, though.
That's true. I mean, Undertale is like 6.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, depending on how... Because I thought this would be closer to 6, and it's closer to 20. So it definitely it can slog sometimes. Towards the end, the sad part, I feel like it kind of circles back towards the end, where I felt like it would have been a lot more effective just kind of get to the ending. Because I was like, you got me, just take it home. And they were like, no, let's remember all this stuff that happened. I'm like, no, I'm there right now. Like, finish the game. But still really good.
Filler flashback episodes right towards the end.
A little bit.
No, I don't need to know.
Speaking of
I get what they were doing, but
like indie games that are kind of like a little horror leaning-ish, like kind of creepy, not really horror. Oxenfree, you guys remember Oxenfree?
Yes. Yeah. I love Oxenfree. It was my game of the year.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, year came out.
I just wanted to mention, I read the other day they just updated it after like 5 years, and it like teases Oxenfree 2, and there's like something weird going on with like dimension rifts like bleeding into the first game or something now. That sounds pretty cool.
I think we talked about that on a podcast.
I thought we talked about this.
Did we talk about this?
I thought so.
Man.
But basically, if you go back to the first game, you can pick up like radio signals that are basically like foreshadowing the second game.
Yep.
Which,
Sounds
if you
cool.
played Oxenfree, that's pretty much kind of what Oxenfree was about by the end. It was like all this dimension hopping kind of stuff. It was really cool. Yeah. Really great game.
Yeah, that game was awesome.
Also, it's okay, Alex. I don't listen to our podcast either.
That's untrue.
Chad! That is actually not true. Chad, what have you been playing lately?
All right, so not a lot. I've been playing a lot, but I haven't been playing a lot of games.
Right.
We'll
get to the important one in a minute.
So Guild Wars 2 is actually, they dropped, what was it, on Tuesday, maybe? Yeah, I think it was on Tuesday. They dropped Halloween. So there's a Halloween event going on. The Mad King is in there, pumpkin head, lunatic looking guy. He's been around since Guild Wars 1, so it's cool to keep the tradition alive. And they're doing the same things like Mad King says, which is Simon says, but it's Mad King says, and if you don't follow him, then he'll kill you. So if he says, Mad King says dance and you don't dance, he'll kill you. If he says dance and he doesn't say Mad King says dance, he'll kill you. So it's kind of cool. You just use the emotes, so like /dance, /sit, /threaten, /roar, etc. And he goes off of that. You get rewards as you do it, which is kind of cool. You get a little trick or treat bags. So open those up. There's candy in it. There's some materials. There is a clock tower jumping puzzle, which is claimed to be like the hardest jumping puzzle in the game. I'm a freaking boss at it. I completed it in like one shot.
Humble brag, humble brag.
It's actually really stupid because at the top you have to wait because the whole thing is just circling while like all these different bits and pieces and parts are like falling off the tower, and it's like circling the tower as going up. And so you're going up as a circling, and there's like a gas is following you, and you have to do it as fast as possible, or else the gas gets you and grab you and kill you. But then once you get to the top, you're just like, what am I supposed to do? Because you're just staring at this clock tower, and on the second pass of it rotating around, the clock tower actually breaks open, and you're supposed to jump into the clock tower. And so you would assume as a player, all right, as soon as the clock tower breaks open, I'm going to jump dead center into the middle of it. That is not the case. For some reason, there's something broken, something laggy, to where you actually have to jump just a second after that little panel, and then you're just like, you smack into the wall, but then it portals you in. Really upset about that. I was raging constantly, and then once I figured it out, I one-shot this every time. Anyways, other than that, there's been this other game that I've been playing, and I guess I'll introduce it since
Yeah.
Since I was last, and
yeah. And you've only put like probably, I don't know, 20, 30 hours since it released last Tuesday, right?
Yeah, so supposedly I have 134 hours.
Good lord, man.
But
Do you know what daylight looks like this week?
you gotta think. There was
you should know. There's only 168 hours in a week.
Oh my gosh. There's also segments though where I wasn't really playing. I mean, MMOs, sometimes you're just standing around and you just like AFK and like go eat or something, or like at the beginning there was queue times, and so you didn't want your character to log out. So
oh my god, I heard about how bad the queue times were.
Go out of the house, and like we would run across and like WASD on one person's computer to keep them logged in while the other person was doing something. So like I would give around a good 30 hours. Not playing.
How bad was your queue times at the start? Because I had a friend that was on launch day. He attempted to log in at 10 a.m. He did not get in until 6 p.m.
Yeah, see, we chose a low pop server right off the bat, and then it became high pop. And if you logged in around 5 to 9, 5 to 10, somewhere around there, then it would be like a couple hours. But other than that, like it was a pretty easy login. And then they have since boosted the servers, I think, to 2.5K, and then they also have more servers available. They're coming out with server transfers. So they're doing good on that. They're going to be free. They're going to be free for a first time because they do understand that there are some people that want to get off like streamer servers and stuff like that they didn't realize they were streamer servers because they don't actually look at the world of Twitch.
What's a Twitch?
Which is
like the whole setup is dumb because once you pick a server, you're locked to it with that character. Yeah. And if it happens that 20,000 other people also pick your server after that, now you're screwed. Now you have to wait in queues.
The fact that they didn't do either like floating character profiles that you can just jump into any server, a la, I don't know, like RuneScape and various other MMOs, but they did like server specific characters like WoW, which is a terrible idea. And at least this was old school WoW.
You can't really do that in this game. This game is, and we'll talk about like more specifics, but it's heavily focused on PvP.
Right. I got like a word vomit before we actually get into the nitty gritty.
Sure.
So
go for it.
I took down some notes because I want to get into like all of this because I think this is really important because I think this is the first MMO that like has come out that's actually like wowed me. And I'm not saying like World of Warcraft.
That's good.
All right, so word vomit style combat is different. Economy system pretty freaking cool. Armor class system pretty freaking cool. PvP, the flagging duels, the forts. I want to get into that. I think they're doing a great job there. This has like a similar vibe to your old school MMOs. Your classic WoW. Your like day one kind of MMOs where you always had that like LFGs and trying to form parties organically rather than with a party finder. Crafting in the progression of crafting / the gathering, I think it's phenomenal. The faction biases while simultaneously being able to play with the different factions. So like with Horde and Alliance, you couldn't form a party for a dungeon together, right?
Yeah.
But with this, you can be yellow, green, and purple and all be in the same dungeon together. So if for some reason, I don't know, it's not happening on our server or anything, if everybody goes purple, and that's like all you can find when it comes to the dungeon, it's not like you're going to be sitting there for hours looking for like a couple greens or a couple yellows to come play with you. And then the inventory management, I think, is like wonderful. Like I went back to Guild Wars and I was like, what the heck is the inventory management in this compared to New World? And then the last thing, the thing that just blew my mind today is if you're exploring and you're going through different zones and you pick up like notes along the way or loot items along the way, and then you pick up a quest and that quest calls for you to go and pick up those notes or pick up the items, that part of the quest will already be crossed off. It'll already be done. So you don't have to go back and find that note or find that quest item. It's already in your inventory. It's already crossed off. It's already done. You just have to go to the next step on that quest. And I don't know any other MMO that actually does that.
I did have a question about this because you mentioned it earlier, and I did want a clarification. So if I, happen to kill this NPC and he drops this letter that I'm supposed to get in a chain of this quest, does that give me can I see that that's part of a quest line and that I've already crossed out part of it because I've got that letter? Or is it a thing of you won't know until you've gone to the person that gives you the quest and then you find out, oh, I've already done X, Y, and Z?
So your inventory. So first of all, I don't really know if the quest item will ever drop. The specific thing that I saw today with this quest completion prior to picking the quest up is there are notes around the world which give you lore background. And so when you're searching through, the different zones, if you start to read these lore backgrounds and that's just something that you like to do, it also gives you experience, so you should do it. You don't need to go find that note and read it again. I haven't had a loot drop yet, but also there is a segment in your inventory that is dedicated to quest items. So it will have a little diamond. It'll have the quests. You don't have to go into a wiki to find out if it's safe to destroy it, safe to throw it away. Like Guild Wars, you have to wiki everything in Guild Wars when it comes to loot. But New World, it's straightforward. It's right there. It's in your face. This is the quest item. This is where you need to go bring it. You're done. Nice long
Sam.
Yeah.
I was waiting for Alex to interject something or something.
I don't know if you had more stuff to answer Owen's specific question. I think the answer is the second option, right? It won't. Yeah. If you find something, it's not going to spawn a quest in your log because you found that thing. You'd have to have found the quest itself.
Right. Which, I mean, hey, it still sounds pretty cool that it allows you to do all of that. That's still solid. That allows you to do it. I mean, it saves you from the things that happen in WoW where you're it says, oh, hey, kill 30 boar. And you're I just killed 30 boar. And now you have to go turn around and do it again.
So to go off of Chad's list of things, I think the absolute biggest thing about this game is the combat system, comparing it to other MMOs. I've said this a couple times to different people, but I feel like most MMOs that you play, you have a bunch of skills on a bar, and you maybe you have a specific order you hit them for max efficiency, but you know the order and you just hit them when they're off cooldown. For the most part, there's specific things you'll hold back a CC in Guild Wars for when the CC bar pops up, but that's about it. And World of Warcraft or whatever, you're just hitting stuff off cooldown. That's the core gameplay loop. You might make decisions on what order you hit things, but you're just hitting it off cooldown. This game is like, you got 3 skills on your weapon, and they have long cooldowns, and you want to make sure you get the maximum out of that cooldown that you can. It plays like a regular action game, essentially. Like your combat is, I have a sword, I'm going to swing it. If it connects, it does damage. If it doesn't, then it doesn't. It's not like a dice roll. There's backstabbing in this game. There's if with ranged weapons, there's headshots that do more damage.
I find the backstabbing incredible because, and Owen has played a lot of WoW, so he probably respects this. When you're a tank, you're supposed to make the enemy look away from your group anyways. And so, because they might have like a AoE that's like a cone in front of them or something. But like now it's even more vital because of the backstab damage that your team gets for having them turned around, which is really nice. Which I forget if WoW has similar backstab kind of thing. I don't think it does. I think it has a no dodge chance. If I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
In World of Warcraft.
There's a reason you do it, but I never remember it because I've always played either a healer or a caster, so I've never had to be behind my targets.
My limited experience with MMOs, all I know is I just button mashed. But this makes it sound like you have more role responsibility, like you feel like you have a position with what you're doing within the group you're with, whoever you're running around with. Like you have a role and a responsibility, and then you really have to play off of what other people are doing. Because you have longer cooldowns, less abilities, you got to sort of plan your attacks. Is that kind of how this feels, or is it still more okay?
Yeah, like it feels like regular action game combat. I hate to say Souls, but it kind of feels a little bit like a Souls game. Not really. Like
not everything is Dark Souls.
Not everything is Dark Souls, but that is like the go-to explanation of what action game combat is. Like you are positioning around a person. You have you can have a shield that you block with, or you dodge roll out of attacks. If you play with the rapier, there's a parry.
You also get and this is touching on the armor classes, you also get different styles of rolling. So there's the fat roll with the heavy armor, there's the medium, like jumping kind of with the medium armor, and then there's the actual rolling with light armor. And so, you have those 3 things. They take different amounts of stamina. So 100% Souls-like right there.
I will say swinging your sword does not take stamina. That's different.
Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't let you regen stamina while you're swinging, though.
Can we just say it's the Dark Souls of MMOs?
It's the Dark Souls of MMOs.
We finally did it.
We've arrived.
I hate using that comparison because it's so overused.
We're like game journalists now. It's official. We did it, everyone.
But it's basically that. And then like if you use like a musket or something, it's basically a shooter at that point.
Yep.
Like you want to be landing headshots.
Yeah.
And then also like ranged weapons, you need ammo. You got to craft it. I don't. It's like a small thing, but I think that's cool.
Yeah,
I feel like that would be annoying.
No problem.
It's not really annoying because of the amount you can craft easily.
Okay.
I think it's just a nice like in-world touch.
You need a minuscule amount of resources to make like 50 arrows or 50 bullets.
I always feel so good about like crafting ammo. Like even in D&D, I'm like, if it's gonna be so easy, what is the benefit of doing it rather than just saying you have infinite arrows? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it can actually be an issue. Like we ran a dungeon the first time, we were underleveled, and Caitlin was playing a musket user, and we tried the last boss a couple times, and then we got to the last attempt, and she was like, I only got like 100 bullets left, so this is probably the last time we could attempt this, otherwise I'm just doing no damage.
Okay.
Yep.
And so we ended up beating the boss on that last attempt, but it was very close. Like I think she actually ended up running out of bullets by the end of it.
Yeah, I think she did.
Okay. All right.
Kind of cool. Also in that dungeon, it didn't let you like trade between each other. That would defeat the purpose.
Too. That game just has you can't trade at all within dungeons. Probably to where you can't bring thousands of ammunition and then just keep giving it to your ranger
for your
yeah.
All right.
There is an encumbrance system, so like in your inventory you can only hold a certain amount, but you can craft bags that allow you to hold more. And then they also, if you use Azoth, which is the currency that is specific to this game, like it's you get Azoth for like killing creatures, closing corrupted portals.
It's not a paid currency, to be clear.
Yeah, it's just another currency that they threw in there. You only get 1,000. It's a cap. It's what you use to like fast travel.
That's what that is.
But there's like, there's different uses that you can do for crafting that gives like bonuses. And so, for instance, one of the things that Caitlin and I have, because I used 30 Azoth while I created the bag, is anytime we get hit with a bullet or an arrow, we have a % chance for that to go into our inventory.
That's nice.
Let me just take this bullet and fire it back at you.
Yeah, let me just take this arrow out of my chest and just, throw it in my bag real quick. Which also with the crafting, everything is gatherable. Like everything is gatherable. You have like Guild Wars or WoW where you have to like find specific locations with like the specific gather nodes. This game, it's just you look at something, you can gather it, which is it blows my mind because it's just the whole world is your oyster.
And you might not be able to gather that specific thing based on your level in that gathering stat.
So you can't immediately mine silver. You have to level up your mining first.
So like you can chop down young trees, but mature trees are too much for you until you hit level 50 logging.
Is this why you were just chopping trees all day while we were watching Dota?
So
I gotta up my logging skills.
While we were watching Dota, I was just one-handed playing New World, just chopping every single tree that I found. Yeah,
gotta level up my wood chopping.
Yeah, essentially, yes. They've taken that from RuneScape.
So with that, you have everything is gatherable. You have an encumbrance to where you can only carry a certain amount, and each town has its own economy. When you go to the trading post, it's not cross-server. It's that specific town. And so if you look in the shop and you're like looking for a sword or a chest piece, and that town doesn't have it, go to the next town over. Maybe that town has it. I was specifically looking for like gear score like 390 or something like that, and I was looking in the starter zones. So I'm like, oh, of course I'm not going to find it in the starter zones. Let me go to one of the end zones, and boom, I was able to find it in one of the next towns over.
But I'm curious, because of that, is it also like there's like every MMO, there's just like the town that you go to trade and buy things?
Not necessarily.
Yet. And also because the towns will be claimed and reclaimed by different factions, and then the taxes will constantly change. And
there's taxes in this game.
Surprise. There's actually taxes that go into like using the trading post or using a crafting station, or even traveling. Like from one green town to the next. I'm the Marauder faction, which is green. One green town to the next. It's like 16 Azoth. If I go from a purple town to a purple town, it's like 70 to 100 Azoth. And then it also includes how much you're carrying. If you're carrying a ton, it'll boost the amount of Azoth that you're using as well.
Fuck the bots, I guess.
The economy is pretty interesting because you have clans or guilds or whatever they're called, companies in this game. A company can lay claim to a town, right? And then they apply a tax percentage to like everything that happens in that town. And then also they pay to like upgrade the resources that town provides. So like this one town might have like a smoking forge that you're like, oh man, to make this really high level forge stuff, I have to go to that really good forge over there, but they're going to charge me like 10% tax because it's not my faction. And it's like, it's kind of cool to see like individual economies spring up across the land instead of just being like, here's the global auction house and this is the one set price for this resource.
That is interesting because I was wondering. I mean, because I was wondering if it was going to be end up something like how RuneScape was, is just like if you need to sell something, you went to Varrock. That's just what you did.
Yeah,
like that's just the default thing that people like went to, and then eventually they added all like the auction houses and everything there. But that was like the trade thing, and so it sounds like they've found an interesting way of keeping that on a constant swivel, so that way you never have that one city that's like, this is it. You might have that for a week, but then after that you're like, oh shit, we gotta move somewhere else and get things set up. It also seems and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but it sounds like it also gives you a good motivation for taking over some of those towns, of being like, oh, well, I'm a blacksmith and I want that nice forge that's in this town. I now want to take it over. Let me get with a group of other people. Maybe a bunch of them are blacksmiths that also want to do that. And we can all take over this town.
We lose Alex.
I think we
did.
lost Alex.
Mhm.
right. Continuing on.
Yeah, what else we got?
We're still live on Aaron's recording,
Yep.
correct?
Yeah.
Yep.
Solid. All right. So, to piggyback off what Alex was talking about with the upgrading the crafting systems, like the benches and such, the way that it's done is somebody pays to start upgrading it. Like one of the companies starts to upgrade it, but then there's little quests on a board that the community has to do. So, for instance, you need elk meat or something to turn into the town. You have a ton of community get that quest, go out, kill elks, come back, and then put it in there. And once the community reaches the goal of killing the certain amount of elk and getting the meat, boom, that thing gets upgraded. And so it's not just all right, we got the money, we grinded that out, let's upgrade this bad boy. It's actually a community effort to get the stuff upgraded. In the same sense, the PvP, if we look at that aspect in the influence on each territory, it's I'm sorry, I got distracted. Caitlin, get the doorbell ringing. Caitlin walked away. So each territory has 2 bars opposite of what color it is. So basically what this means is if there's a purple area, there's a green bar and a yellow bar. And there is 3 different faction people that you can talk to. So if I'm green, for instance, and I'm in a purple area, I'm going to flag up for PvP. I'm going to go get some PvP quests from that the faction guy. Then I'm going to go do the PvP quests. And when I do that, I will get influence over the area, and it'll be a percentage between 1 to 100. Once you get to 100, you can now declare war on that territory and take it over. And there are forts in each territory that you're able to take over in the open world, and you can defend them in the open world. That gives you a bonus 20% on the influence that you're gaining doing those PvP quests. So basically what happens is you get raid parties together. There's a raid group that goes to the fort to defend and or attack. And then once they take it over, there's a raid party that just spams these PvP quests. And you get to that certain point, declare war, and then you're going to go into an instance war that is predetermined on what time it is. So, for instance, there's one tomorrow night at 9 o'clock where you get to sign up on the war board, and companies get to rearrange your name and such to different squads and send you into that instance. I find that really cool. The PvP system of flagging in towns and being able to also PvE without flagging is pretty cool, to where you don't have to specifically join a PvP server. You can just, do what you like, PvP, PvE, etc. That's one of the draws, I think, to this game is the territory taking PvP in the wars.
I think that makes it feel like A, that you're Spider-Man, and B, that you are more involved in what's going on the continent. Like a lot of times you play like games with like big groups of people, and it's just like whatever the story's kind of going on around you. You're not really like partaking, and what you're doing doesn't really have any major impact on what's going on the continent you're on. But what you're talking about, it like everything you do directly influences something either in your group or as a part of you guys trying to take over a fort or trying to take over a town or try and like spread your territory. Like I was looking at the map while Alex was playing. It's crazy. There's a ton of purple. I'm like, you guys need to expand. What are you doing? Get out there. Explore.
Well, that's
Anyway,
another thing. One of the things that I'm kind of disappointed about, but in the recent war, it's become kind of okay because we're catching up, is that they didn't really do a great job with the level scaling for PvP. In the first closed beta, it was 1-to-1. If you were level 1 and you fought a level 60, you pretty much whoever had better skill won, which you would assume because of the level 1 not having anything on their skill bar, they would lose. But if the 60 just stands there and takes the hits, of course they're going to lose. The second beta, they had it to where if you're level 1 and there's level 60, the level 1 just gets one tapped. And then there's like I've fought as a level 39, a level 49 before, and held my own, and also beat them. So it's balanced. But when we went up as all level 30s against all level 60s, basically, we just got 8 minutes handed to us. Like, it was over. These are the wars are like 30-minute matches. They push 3 different zones. Once they capture those 3 different zones, they push into the castle. Once they push into the castle, they have to take that zone, and we just got wiped. But we had a recent war where we actually held them on the final zone before the tower, and it was a long 30 minutes of just slamming 2 Zergs together. Another thing is, this was recently just announced, is the influence system. We had done the calculations, and when you take over the fort and get the 20% boost, and you're doing the PvP quests, it would take around 222 of those quests, and you can do 3 at a time. It'll take 222 of the quests to fully get the influence up to 100 and take over the territory or declare war. The longer a faction holds stuff, the faster the influence will go for the other factions. So basically, that 222 number will probably drop down to something like 100 or 50, to where one faction can't hold the territory for like the entirety lifespan of the game. They want these territories to shuffle hands. They want constant wars to happen, and they want no one faction to just be able to take over everything. Now, Purple, you said, Aaron, on our server, when you were looking, has like everything. That's falling apart.
Okay, that's cool. I'm glad to hear that, because I was a little worried. I was like, how are they incentivizing people to not join the purple faction? Because you look at the server, you're like, well, I'm just going to get wrecked if I join green or yellow. I might as well join the guys who are winning.
Right. And in the beginning, when it was all purples, of course, when there's more purples than the rest of the server, you're going to assume that there's going to be more purple level 60s right out the gate, because there's more people playing than yellow 60s or green 60s. So ultimately, because they're holding on to these territories, and they bought the territories outright right at the beginning, the longer that they hold these territories, the faster that they're going to degrade and the faster they're going to fall. Something that we haven't seen, I think, because Amazon realized right in the beginning we weren't level 50, is that there's something called an evasion that happens. So the corruption starts taking over the zone, and the invasion starts, and so now you're just fighting the corrupted instead of fighting PvP. And once the invasion, I think if they win, all of your stuff downgrades. I don't think you lose the territory. I'm not sure what happens there.
That's what I've heard, is the crafting stations will downgrade in that case.
So there's multiple different things that happens to your territory. It's not just, all right, I'm going to PvP this territory and take it over. There's also the PvE aspect that happens, but they actually kind of skipped a couple of the invasions because they were like, nobody's level 50, so nobody's going to sign up for this, because you have to be level 50 to sign up for that. There's also another thing that's a 20v20 that I haven't even seen anybody do, because you have to be level 60 to do that. And I've also heard that in the top 3 territories, those are never going to be quote-unquote owned. Those are always going to be like flipping just in real time, because it's just PvP zones that nobody's gotten to yet. But people are speculating that you're always going to be flagged there. You're always going to be fighting. You can build your own forts, and you're just constantly going to have like wars happening there to try to take over the territories. So we'll see what happens with that. I'm curious to see. I'm only level 41, so.
Game seems super cool, actually.
Say something about for the new player experience. I think it's pretty solid. You first open it up and start playing, and nothing's like immediately overwhelming as it is in most MMOs. Everything's pretty straightforward.
Tell me about it.
Yeah. The GUI is set up really nicely.
The person that got to level 80 and was forced into PvP.
That's what I'm saying, man. I was just like, what is going on? I'm mashing buttons. All right, you have 5 seconds. Read all 42 of your skills, memorize them, and figure out what order you need to cast them in. Go.
I was curious to hear what Caleb thought about this game, so
yeah, let's hear that.
So Aaron, shut up. I get it. All right.
So like coming in, is really simple. It's pretty straightforward. There's a nice little short tutorial, a bunch of tutorial missions that are relatively simple, but not really meaningless. You're learning about stuff. And Also, pre-level 20, you can respec everything on your character for free. So you can reset all your stats to whatever you want. So you can be running around with a rapier, super high dex, and you find a cool hammer, and you're like, I'm just going to respec to entirely strength and reset my weapon skills, stuff like that. Really nice to be able to swap at any time.
You can still reswap at any time past 20. It is
It
actually
just costs
super
a little
cheap.
bit, right? Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah,
It
it's
was,
actually pretty cheap.
pretty cheap.
The weapon swapping takes Azoth. Whatever. The
Bezos. Oh, sorry.
Bezos.
yeah, the blessing of
what they should have
Bezos
called
is what everybody is saying. We have the blessing of Bezos when stuff drops. That's good for us. Anyways, the respecking of attributes only takes a couple of gold. I think it's
Oh, dang, nice.
times 2 of whatever level you are.
That was really cheap.
Yeah, so it's not. I mean, I have like 5k gold right now, and I'd have to spend like 170 something, or I can look right now. I'll tell you. I'll report back here in a second.
I want to know, Caleb, do you see yourself like playing much of this game, or is this like you picked it up to play with friends for like a week or two and then that's it, or what?
If we get to content that is difficult in any way, I think I could stick around and play it for a while. But so far, I mean, I'm only level 14 or something. But so far, I've had one fight that was vaguely difficult, and it's because I was solo against a bear. Everything else has been pushover.
Right.
I haven't played PvP yet.
Just go to a bear-only server and just fight all the
Right?
bears.
What I need to do,
Actually-
apparently.
Me
If you
mom's a
check-
bear.
If you check Chad's review on the Steam page, which he posted, I think like the day of release or something,
Mhm. It was very early.
it says like seems easy, but PvP helps with that
Hmm.
or something like that.
I can actually rewrite that and say it depends on what level you are. Because
Yeah.
honestly, if you had to look at this game from the perspective of I want a hard PvE game that's going to take mechanics that will push my group to actually have to think and not just spam, I would go to like World of Warcraft or Guild Wars if you want that content. There's the second dungeon has been a tiny bit difficult. It's nothing major though. I mean, there's like one boss before the last boss that's actually like harder than the last boss. There's been a couple of like the combat gets a little harder towards like I'm level 41 and I'm versing level like 38 and I'm almost dying with medium armor. But as long as you're not brain dead and you use your block and dodge and you can maneuver, you're probably not going to die. There's some like elites and stuff that you can't take on by yourself that you will need a group. So, I mean, you will get to that content where you're going to need help and it'll actually push your group to strive to do it. It's not all going to be easy breezy. Let me just mash my fingers on 3 keys because those are my skills and I've won.
Yeah, the only reason I'm really playing it right now is because the combat's actually enjoyable, and I like playing games with friends. But it was easy to get into. The combat's enjoyable, so both of those together have made it so it's just I'm still playing it at this point. But it does need to get harder for me to keep going, I think, because it's just been too easy.
Yeah, I think the progression isn't too tiresome. Because like even getting to the first dungeon, you only have to be like level 23, 25. And then of course I did what I always do and I hard grinded that dungeon about 50 to 80 times to try to get a drop and finally got it on like one of the last times that I did it. And so I literally went from level 28 to 31 within that one dungeon.
Dang.
Without literally without doing a single other thing. I got multiple like 40k experiences because there's one quest that was repeatable that is 5k each time.
Nice. Any other notes on this? Should I move on? There was a pause there.
I think that's probably enough.
Yeah, we
For now.
spent a while on it, I think.
Yeah, we did.
Good
Jake
game.
and
That's
Owen
okay.
are suitably bored.
So I guess just to wrap it up, I mean, on a scale of 1 to 5, because that's my favorite scale. If it's Caleb's favorite scale, it's a 1 to 10. But we'll go with 1 to 5.
Why don't we
Would
split the
you-
difference? 1 to 7.5.
1 to 7.5. What would you rate this game,
I'm
Chad?
okay
my
with
gosh.
that.
Yes.
All right, honestly, on a scale of 1 to 7.5. First of all, let me ask you: did you like Destiny, Aaron?
Yeah.
Do you like medieval stuff?
Yeah.
I can confidently say, if you pick this game up, you would like it.
Oh, wow. Wow. Okay. All right.
Wow.
All right.
So I would have to
Wow.
say, if they have a good path forward with content, because I'm still waiting for them to release like a roadmap or something. Because I mean, they got people reaching level 60, and people are going to start complaining that there's no content. They have a good path forward. This game could be a 6.5 out of 7.
Wait, but this is 7.5.
6.5
is
out
that
of 7.
7.5? Then 7 out of 7.5?
Yeah.
Okay, 7 out of 7.5.
Okay.
All right.
Not
All right.
quite
Currently-
perfect, but
Currently, without that announcement, without the roadmap, also honestly without the scaling of the levels of because I don't know if like Caleb should tag up for PvP when there's level 60s already roaming around.
Right.
6 out of 7.5.
That's not much of a downgrade there.
It's still good. It just needs
Yeah.
like tweaks and it needs a roadmap.
Okay. All right. So 7 out of 7.5 or a 6 out of 7.5 depends on how well they do at describing things for the future. All right, I'll take that. Let's talk about a few things in news world here. First and
News.
foremost, yes, the Sombra Bastion
Gosh.
rework.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
I don't know. Has anyone here seen what they did for the rework?
I actually, because of our
Video
conversation,
was-
I watched the gameplay of that they did of demoing out Overwatch 2.
Okay, I did as well. So for anyone who doesn't know, at the last, I guess at the championship for
Yep.
whatever
Yep.
Overwatch thing they're
It
doing
was
right
it
now.
was the Overwatch Season 3 championship.
Okay, it doesn't have like a cool name like the international. It's just the Overwatch.
Exactly.
The Overwatch
Yeah, it's
thing
not-
that they did.
It's
Yeah.
not the TI, yeah.
But they showed off the reworks for Overwatch 2 for both Sombra and Bastion. So for Bastion, I'm just going to go over these really quickly. I've got the details up in front of me. But Bastion can move well in turret form. Doesn't do as much damage.
Yay.
Turret form has a duration and a cooldown. So you can
Yay.
only be a turret for 8 seconds, and then you have to wait 10 seconds before you do it again. He can't heal himself. He has a sticky
Yay.
grenade. And his ult is like a mortar, where he basically launches Doomfist ults
Yeah, I was
at
about
3
to say.
points on the map.
oh, that's
I mean,
cool.
that's basically...
Man.
They're probably using the same asset right now. But,
Yeah.
You want to
So
talk
he's-
about a nerf? My goodness.
but he can move now. He can move when he's a turret. I feel
Yeah,
like this
move
just
shoot.
makes him, like,
Move shoot, man.
playable, like maybe
Move
fun
maybe.
sometimes.
I get.
Yeah.
You know what? It's going to get rid of the Bastion players that just sit in one spot behind a shield and do
Yes.
nothing other than left click.
'Cause that's going to be
Turret mode.
terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say it definitely seems like they've taken the boring parts of playing a Bastion of just sitting in a corner and waiting, and now it's just like, no, you gotta move.
Yeah, you gotta play like a real boy. Oh,
You gotta play like a real person.
I forgot to mention when he's in moving around mode, his sentry mode, it's no longer like a machine gun, it's like a single shot kind of rifle.
Oh, whoa.
What that
Yeah.
is here is weapon fire rate reduced by 50%.
Oh,
But it's basically semi-auto now, is what it looks like.
Okay.
Interesting.
how
Yeah.
much less damage does he do in turret form?
40%
Wow.
less.
Wow.
Compared to his machine
40%.
gun. Yeah,
That's significant
it's
enough.
pretty big.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's serious.
Curious to see how that sticky grenade works. That sounds cool.
It does sound cool.
It does.
Very
It
necessary,
actually
though.
looks fun.
That's
It's-
like a knockback, right? The sticky grenade.
Can you use it to
Uh,
bounce?
You can bounce it off of walls, and it does knock back enemies after it explodes.
Not
on them.
yourself, like a Junkrat trap or not trap. Mine.
What are you saying to me? Does it
He's
hurt
looking to
him?
jump
I
off
don't
of it.
think-
Move you.
Yeah,
Can it move you? Can you jump off of it?
I don't think so.
It says knocks back any enemies it strikes.
Okay.
What
What does
so-
Junkrat's bomb say?
I don't know. Well, it pretty explicitly does knock him around. I don't know. We'll see. But that still looks pretty cool. And then the one
Yeah.
I care about, the one I cared about the whole time is Sombra.
Sombra.
Right.
Because obviously they were going to change Sombra. Basically, nobody likes Sombra. Nobody except me likes Sombra.
I like Sombra.
They
Yeah.
changed her. She's way different. So
Yeah.
now, her hack, it disables abilities still, but only for 1 second. But the hacked status lasts. Oh
8
no,
seconds, I think.
8 seconds.
Yep.
Okay, well, I'll take your word for that. But now, when a target is hacked, Sombra just deals 50% more damage to them,
That's cool.
which is
Yeah.
awesome.
big.
That's so
Pretty
That
sick.
sounds OP.
That's a lot of
It does
damage.
sound OP.
It sounds like
Also-
she's just like becoming much more of a DPS and less of
Yes.
just wait on your ult and then jump in so we can have a team fight.
Yeah,
Like a-
She's less
Like an
CC,
assassin.
more damage now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
she's like an assassin.
Hack
I like
no
it.
longer
Excited.
breaks stealth.
Yeah,
Really?
Hack will
She
stealth.
no
So
longer
you-
breaks
you-
stealth.
Hack no
so
longer
cool.
breaks stealth,
Hack
so you can just
doesn't.
sit in the back and just go.
Yeah, she is a straight assassin if that's the case. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
You
This
can't
sounds-
shoot while in stealth, right?
No, correct.
Okay.
This
Okay.
sounds
She
like
does-
why would you ever choose soldier after this?
Good question.
What else? So her ult, it hacks everyone. It doesn't do anything with shields anymore because honestly that was kind of stupid.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But it also just straight up deals 40% of the enemy's HP.
Their current health, right?
Their
Oh.
current health.
That's a
So
lot.
they're like, let's nerf the crap out of Bastion and let's buff the crap out of Sombra, and then it'll be great.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so excited. Like, it does sound pretty busted, to be honest. It's like, you still get to interrupt people's abilities, which was the best part about playing Sombra, disabling ults,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff.
Right.
But now you just deal what seems like an absurd amount of damage. Like, just crazy damage.
I mean,
It's nice that her hack is now just an interrupt and not a you can't do
Yes.
anything. You can't play Lucio anymore.
Nobody liked
For
that.
10
Like,
seconds.
even
Yeah.
as somebody
Or
who
whatever it
played
was.
Sombra, other than interrupting stuff, hacking someone wasn't that fun. Like, making a Pharah fall was the only fun part of that.
Yeah.
Is it is the damage she does? Is it 40% of current hit points or 40% of max?
Current.
Current.
Okay, I was about to say because that's basically just gravitic flux, except slightly less damage and it's
Instant.
instantaneous. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
glad they chose to not do that.
Yeah.
I feel like I've already, like with Sombra, gotten to the point where with the small characters, I almost one burst them anyways. So
Yeah.
I'm curious to see how strong this is.
I mean,
I-
from watching the gameplay, it looks like she plays as like a tracer. And is just like, you go behind, you hack a bunch of stuff, you start drilling somebody that the team is calling out on, and then like that person just is deleted, and you're just on to the next one.
You just translocate out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Delete
I bet
somebody,
she
like-
plays a lot more like Tracer now.
It does seem like both these characters have kind of like some of their abilities have morphed so that they're more like the playstyle of something else a little bit.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mobile turret plus you have the Doomfist launch, and then we have Sombra where it's like running around like a tracer. They're like, all right, these other characters, they're better made. Let's just take what we have here and
yeah, they're like
just
the
tweak it.
Souls-like of characters in Overwatch.
Oh god.
Exactly. Exactly.
All right, so when is the turret rework and the new hacking Sombra going to be out?
I mean, that's
Overwatch
going to
when
be
Overwatch 2
Overwatch
comes
2,
out.
which we
Oh,
still
it
don't
will
have
be
a
Overwatch
date
2.
for.
Okay, all right. All right.
We know the pros are going to be playing on it in April,
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay.
or at least a version of Overwatch 2
They
in April.
apparently already have the build that they're training on.
Yeah,
Interesting.
so
That tells me
I
it's
would
probably not super far off.
I would
Yeah.
expect a beta around April, if not sooner. But they
That'd be
haven't
cool.
told us anything officially.
Of course.
Right.
Of course not.
Yeah,
Why
why would
would
they
they?
tell us things?
I need
Yeah, why
new
would they-
heroes.
Yes, please. We should also mention another hack that's important, not just
Oh, yeah.
Sombra's new hacks.
That's good. That was good.
Woo!
That was solid.
Man, that was smooth.
Oh man, Twitch just woo! They're just giving out all their data apparently.
Yeah, they
everything.
showed
Yeah.
how much I make.
All $10?
Disturbingly,
Hey, listen
they
here,
show how
buddy.
much some people make for just standing in a hot tub and licking a microphone.
Mm.
Which is apparently like what, $1.5 million in the past year. I
Yeah.
will also stand in a hot tub and lick a microphone if you want to give me $1.5
Well,
million
some people
I
dollars.
think you're
Maybe
going to have
into
less
that,
luck with that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
you
I've
have to be
got
like a really hot girl. to do
Yeah.
it.
I mean,
I can work on it.
Yeah. Oh man.
I got some skimpy clothes. I got a hot tub. We can make this work.
So who knows the most about this? I know like basically everything was hacked, right? Like all of this data was released.
I think they got
Every-
the source code.
They got
Yeah.
the full source
Yeah.
code of the site. They got some
Which is
crazy stuff. Like
ridiculous.
there's like source code for a Steam competitor that was never released.
Mm-hmm. Future builds, their mobile build.
That's awesome.
All of the financials and stuff. Of course, everyone's info.
Encrypted passwords. I don't think it was actually plain text
encrypted
passwords, but
passwords.
Maybe
yeah.
a dumb question.
So that's a bonus, I guess.
But how did Twitch have a Steam source code for like a Steam competitor?
I don't know. It was in there on the servers, I guess. I mean,
yeah,
it makes perfect sense that Amazon would want to be able to transition people into purchasing things on the platform.
Yeah. I agree.
That's kind of their point of they literally want to transition people to purchase everything on their platform. Everything. We started with just deliverables, then it was groceries.
Freaking Shroud's playing this sick new game. Click right under where he's playing it and buy it from Amazon.
Bezos, I get it. Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah,
so
that was. I mean, the real interesting thing I think that everyone took away was just seeing the amount of money that all of the different streamers actually get. Like that was like the interesting point, not the "oh god, this is awful" kind of point of the news.
Yeah.
Which was fascinating to see. The number one stream was Critical Role.
Yeah,
making almost $10 million in the past year.
That was crazy to me. I had no idea that they'd be that far up the list.
Right.
I thought for sure 100% XQC made the most on the site.
Yeah, he was number 2 with something a little bit.
It only accounts for like ads and subs, right?
Yeah, ads, subs, and bits. So sponsorships and donations are not included in that.
Your Patreons are not included there. Because I did find that interesting. I looked up the stream group that at least I watch a lot of Loading Ready Run, just because I wanted to see if they were in the top 10,000. And they were. They were like 370 something, and they make $500,000 in the past year. And I was like, that's pretty solid. I'm glad that they're making that money. Yeah. Like it wasn't anything that I was like, fuck this person for making a ton of money. It was all just like, good for you.
That seems to be the reaction that Hassan's chat has taken, because Hassan, if you don't know, he's like basically like a politics streamer. Like he just talks about politics and stuff, and he's like a leftist and like kind of supports socialist values, and then he's like number 14 on the list or something like that, and everybody's like, hey, wait a second, you're rich.
Hell yeah, man, good for you.
You can't
do that.
And then there's like all these memes of him like wearing a tax the rich shirt, and it's like next to his data. It's like, hey man, which I think that it's possible to hold views and then still be very successful, but I mean, I don't know, some people were freaking out about it.
Maybe he just wants to be taxed more. Maybe he's like, yo, I'm making all this money.
Tax me.
Tax
it's possible
me.
to both be rich and then also be like, maybe wealth inequality is like, there's something there. I don't know.
I think it was Albert Einstein who said, we live in a society.
I liked seeing looked up some reactions from some people that I follow. I thought Asmongold's video on it was pretty interesting. Like he apparently looked at the number and was like, that's probably right. But he's like, I literally don't look at how much money I have. And I was like, yeah, it seems like Asmongold. Like still lives in his mom's house, just eats Taco Bell every day, doesn't buy anything extravagant or expensive. Like he has a nice gaming PC. That's about it.
I think that it was also just interesting to see, like, it really just gave you the numbers to like rank the Twitch streamers, so you got to see where your streamers were, and just kind of be like, oh, I'm surprised that Pokimane was as low as she was. I thought she'd be higher.
There was a bunch of reactions to. So there's a bunch of streamers that live in Texas, and they kind of like have formed a group and they appear like on each other's streams and stuff like that. And one of the guys in the group is NMP, and his value was so much lower than everybody else's. He only made like 100 and something thousand, which is still like a lot.
Yeah,
in my
I mean, it's
mind.
a lot of money. If you're making 6 figs for
But
playing games, congratulations. I am
was, like,
impressed.
so much lower than all of his other friends. And so his entire stream that day was people donating and saying things like, here, buddy, I got to go work at McDonald's to make sure that I can eat this week, but I think you need this more than me. And it was just,
Oh my
That's so cute.
gosh.
so funny.
Twitch having
Speaking
problems.
Speaking of
What?
streamers, I saw a video that I found was hilarious, and it was Ludwig looking at his metrics,
Mhm.
and basically him saying, "Why do I only have 5% women watching me?" And then there was a video that somebody put together of like thumbnail sized multiple of his videos, and the way he starts every single one of his videos, boys. And then he goes into it. And he's like, all right, somebody just cherry pick this, okay? Let me just like went on to his YouTube channel, and he like clicked a random one, and it starts off boys. He's like, oh, okay, whatever. That's right.
Every single one of his videos.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
That's like Nick Merckx. What does he say at the start of every single video? He says
Oh,
the same
man.
thing every single time.
Yeah,
Also,
yeah.
Something. I'm sure it'll go in here. I'll put it in right here in the podcast.
Put the clip.
It's gonna be a great
Wow.
bit.
Yeah,
you
that
need
was
his
good.
sound to where we can get sued.
Let's talk about something else that's been having problems outside of Twitch, which is
Oh.
Windows 11 on Alex's computer.
Wait,
You actually
do you-
attempted to have it?
Do you think that the reason why I added this right after I reconnected was because I realized
100 freaking percent it was, because that is the second time you've crashed today.
Yeah, I don't know. I installed Windows 11 on my computer. It came out this week.
Hmm.
It
Looks
seems
pretty.
fine for the most part. Once today, when I wasn't at it, it apparently crashed. And when I came back, and I was like, "Oh, like my computer's off. That's weird." And then during this podcast, I just lost network for some reason. I don't know why. I don't know if it's actually Windows 11 related or what. Could be. But it made me think, I wonder if it's Windows 11. And I was like, oh, wait, maybe I should mention Windows 11 on the podcast. So then I added it to the notes here. It's pretty slick. They've redesigned the taskbar, for lack of a better term, to look much more like Mac OS. Like it's centered, justified. It's got all your little icons. Everything like swoops out of the middle, all like cool animated style. It's a lot like Windows 10 for the most part. There's a couple things I really like about it. One, they did something to where when your monitors turn off and then you turn them back on later, your windows are where you left them.
The thing that I've always
That's-
wanted
yeah,
that is
since
something.
forever.
It's so
I
nice. It's
would
I
like
don't.
to have.
It's very good.
I don't know why that has not been a feature up until now, but
Right.
And then also, window management is like really cool. Like you can hover over the maximize button of any window, and it gives you a bunch of different like layout options. So instead of like the traditional like drag a window to the side and snap to half the screen, and that's or to the corner and snap to a quarter, you can do like thirds. You can do like there's a fat center with like skinny sides. There's like half with 2 quarters, that kind of stuff. Like, and then I noticed while I was doing the podcast that you can even do custom stuff. Like I have like one thick center panel right here that's like my main web browser,
Yeah.
and then I have a skinny forecast notes on the right here, and then I have like I wanted the chat and the stream above each other, so I popped out the chat and put it below, and it just like kind of filled the space, and then I drug it down to the point I wanted, and then put the other window in, and it just like whoop, filled the space like
You're just
very
playing
naturally.
Tetris.
like the windows just like fit together like how you would instinctually want them to.
Over there playing Windows Tetris.
It's kind of cool. Yeah, a lot of the settings pages are new and stuff like that. I haven't noticed much else different so far.
So your early review is probably like a 6 out of 7.5.
Well, I was gonna go like I don't want to do 7.5 scale. I'm gonna go 10 scale. I was gonna go like 8 because it's like
The worst.
It's pretty solid. It has like some good features that should have just been in 10, and I don't know why it took a full version upgrade to make, like the window thing. But now I'm giving it a 1 because the one thing I had to fix was, for some reason, they took away the clock on the second monitor when you have 2 monitors.
Why?
I don't know why.
Why have they done
Literally
this?
unusable.
Why?
I
That's like
remember-
such a simple feature. Why?
That was like a thing that got added. It might have been in like Windows 8 or Windows 10, I'm not sure. But you used to have the situation where your main monitor, whatever you had set as primary, would have your task tray, your network status, your audio stuff, and then also the date and time. And then in one of those newer versions of Windows, they updated it to where all your screens could have the date and time also, with the primary one having the other stuff with it. And then in this one, for some reason, your second screen doesn't have date and time now. So I went to some random GitHub page and downloaded something called 11 Clock, and it put a date and time on my second screen.
Wow.
And this took you from an 8 to a 1.
Well, I was mad about it, but then once I fixed it with third-party
my gosh.
software, we're back up to probably like an 8-ish.
Wow. So it really doesn't even go down at all.
Can we,
Just the fact
can we
that
get a
it's-
Yeah.
TLDR on the ratings? On like how they just went?
All right, let's talk about one last segment of things before we wrap up the podcast, which is film-related stuff. I wanted to make mention of a couple things here. Number one, if you have not watched Star Wars Visions, you should watch Star Wars Visions.
Yes,
It's very,
you should.
very good. Owen, what was your favorite episode?
Oh, probably what is it, like the 9?
The Ninth Jedi.
The
Ninth
Ninth
Jedi.
Jedi. Holy shit, that was good. I was
Pretty good.
I was hook, line, and sinker ready for an entire series of that. I was like, I'm in. I don't know where we're going from here, but I'm in.
I like how short they are. They're like,
Yeah.
They're like
bite-sized.
12 to 15 minutes or
And I
so
know
Yeah.
some
usually.
people are like, no, I want more. But like, nah, they're like, I
No,
popped
they're-
one on while we were eating dinner the other night and it was over when we finished. I'm like, yo, that was a dope little,
Yeah,
you know?
it's very bite sized, which I think is really nice about it. And I was like, I would enjoy more of these in this format if possible.
Some
And,
of them
like-
feel like they want to tell a way bigger story.
Way,
And I
like they
think
could
they would've
start an
done a lot.
entire series from it.
And you
Well,
can
some
tell
of them I
like
think
they're
would've been
like
a lot better off being like 25 minutes instead of.
Oh,
Wow.
yeah.
there's also just because of the way that format is, there's just like, okay, so here's just a kind of awkward exposition dump real fast, just so we can now get back to like the stuff that you actually care about. And I'm like, okay, that's fine.
Are they like shorter than normal episode lengths?
Yeah,
like
they're all
12
over the
15
map.
minutes most of them.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
I think
it's
there's like
that-
one that's like up to 17 minutes, but that's the
Man.
longest one.
Yeah.
Star Wars Visions is like a product that I feel like in the pitch meeting they were like, what's our market for this product? And then somebody was like, Alex McCausland.
Yeah.
And so, for some reason, I don't know why, I haven't watched it yet. It's been out
You
for a
gotta
while.
watch it.
Oh my
It's
gosh, man.
So good.
I don't
The
know
two-
why.
The
It's
trigger
I
fine.
particularly
episodes.
like 3 of them, but the rest are kind of just a meh on.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what? There,
what
there
are
definitely
your
some...
3, Caleb?
Yeah, let me hear it.
The twins, the first trigger.
Yep.
episode,
Yes.
so
Yep.
good. The Village Bride.
That's my
the
favorite
Cinema
one.
Citrus episode. That's my favorite also.
Yep,
That's my
that
favorite.
was awesome.
Amazing.
And the Ninth Jedi. Those are
Yeah.
the 3 that I really like.
What about the Elder?
You didn't... Wait.
The other's fine.
You didn't like the duel?
Whatever. I mean,
think...
the duel was good, but it wasn't like.
Oh, man, I think that's maybe the best... In my opinion, the best, like, uniquely animated one out of all of these.
Oh
They
god,
all
yeah,
have a,
the duel was great.
they all have a really cool style, but the duel was just awesome.
I don't know if they all have a cool style. The last
It
one
made you
style I
so
hate.
Akira Kurosawa.
Oh.
I was just like,
Yeah.
oh hell yeah.
I also didn't like TOB1 style either, but
No,
Yeah.
I like the style of that one actually.
it's all right.
I was gonna say, if you want to talk about one that I was kind of on, it was like obviously the TOB one when he's like, "There's somewhere a Jedi around here, and I just can't find him." I was like, "You think it's the guy that made you? Because I bet it's the guy that made you."
Is this a kids one? This is a kids episode. I'm pretty sure it's a kids episode.
Okay, first of all, the kids episode is definitely the one of
Second
what is it,
one.
Tatooine Rhapsody, and I
Oh,
think that
yeah.
fucking slaps. I love Tatooine Rhapsody.
Get out.
I'm not a fan.
The
Get
music
out.
was so
Least-
good, and I was like,
may-
"Yeah, man, this is
Maybe
cool."
maybe
I
my
think the
least
music
favorite
was
episode, I
that
think.
good.
I'm pretty sure with my limited watching of Trigger, I'm pretty sure I could have watched all these episodes without the intro and known which one was Trigger.
You could
God, yeah.
literally look at a screenshot from every episode and know the first episode of Trigger that made.
100%. Yeah,
the second one, I couldn't tell it was Trigger, actually.
That's actually true, because they did the Elder, right?
Yeah, I couldn't tell that one was Trigger for a while.
But damn, like that fucking shot of them just like, I'm on top of a spaceship.
Don't spoil.
You're on top of the spaceship.
Don't spoil.
We got lightsabers, and I'm just like, fuck yeah, I'm in. This is great. Like, this is amazing.
It's really good.
Excellent show. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. If you're a Star Wars fan and you're like, I don't know, this is outside my realm, trust me, it's not. It's very good. It's very,
Did you
very
guys watch
good.
it dubbed, subbed?
I watched it as made, so dubbed. Because that or the way it just streamed on Disney Plus.
Yeah,
I watched dubbed with subtitles, and I realized the fact that the subtitles don't always match up.
Yeah,
and it was a lot more off than it normally is for when I watch What If on the service, because that's like pretty spot on. Except sometimes they have like one or two of like the weird words like tesseract, like weirdly misspelled or something like that. But like, there were phrases that were like just blatantly different on the subtitles than what they were saying in English, and I was like, wait a second, that's not right.
What did you watch it in, Caleb?
subbed.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Speaking of What If, we should also probably talk about this real quick. What If wrapped up their season with a rather spectacular ending. Has anybody not watched the rest of the series?
Or care?
Jake, whatever.
Yeah.
Just go.
Chat and
I'm
Alex.
just
Alex
here.
no, Alex hasn't. Chat has.
I can mute thumbs up when I can unmute.
It's okay. We don't have to talk about it. The important part is this show turned out to be way more than what I expected.
Yeah.
And I was very happy with it. Honestly, I think for me, beats Falcon and the Winter Soldier. No problem. It is right there with Loki and whatchamacallit?
WandaVision. Yep, I agree.
Yeah, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I got you.
I don't know if it's as good as those.
Man, it's very solid. I was very happy with the way they wrapped up this season. So
I was gonna say I wasn't sold on it until this episode of just wrapping everything together, because then I was like, oh, okay, this is kind of cool. Because some of the stories were really interesting when you had like the like Black Panther as the Guardian of the Galaxy. Like that was awesome. Having T'Challa as Star-Lord was cool.
Yep. Others were like less good. I get it.
But seeing all of it like tied together at the end, and I was like, oh, okay, this is neat. My only complaint.
Owen, are
was
you spoilering things right now?
Spoilery.
I'm gonna say this isn't quite a spoiler, but I think there's a missing episode.
Yeah.
There's a group of people that do not show up in any of the other episodes, and they are like brought in as part of the team, and you're just like, wait a second.
I'm pretty sure they originally meant for this show to be 10 episodes long.
Yeah.
And so they ended up with 9, and I bet that's
For
the
this
one.
not being spoilers, I feel spoiled.
Yeah.
Do you
They're
feel spoiled?
spoils. They're spoilers.
Okay, I'm
here.
sorry. I didn't think that because I'm not naming things. I was trying to be vague about it, but it definitely seems.
Here's my way of
It's
being
not something
vague.
you can be vague about.
Yeah, it's really
spoiling
hard.
it.
It's really hard. Anyway, point is, if you have not watched What If, go watch it. It's very good. Disney Plus. Just check it out. It's good animation. It's a fun show to watch. Last but not least, let's talk about Free Guy. A couple of people I know have watched Free Guy at this point. What a movie!
Yeah, fantastic.
Good, bad. Okay.
It's
stupid, but it's a fun, stupid ride to take.
I did not know what to expect from that movie, and I don't know what to expect after watching that movie. It was good.
Oh, did you expect to get a stiffy while watching that movie?
I mean, you're watching Ryan Reynolds, of course.
Exactly.
It's just like you don't have a choice. You just don't have a choice. It's just automatic.
It was good. When it ended, I said that's probably the best video game movie, even though it's not really about a video game.
And I had to remind Alex that Gamer exists, and
No,
then we had an argument.
no.
But
Gamer, huh?
it's important to remember Gamer. All right, best one,
The
hands
Prince of
down.
Persia movie.
Oh, Prince of
The
that
Assassin's
is a
Creed
solid
movie.
Hey, shut your mouth.
Mortal Kombat, the first and second time they did that.
Street
Tekken.
Fighter.
Street
Yeah,
Fighter, Dead or Alive,
Man, there's a
Sonic,
significant amount. Oh,
Super
Sonic.
Mario.
Sonic.
Oh, Sonic's a good contender.
Mario
it's a good
starring
contender.
Chris Pratt.
That's
Mario starring Chris Pratt is yes.
when we got off our podcast
Man.
last week, I just opened Apollo, the Reddit app, and the first thing on the very top was just a screenshot of Nintendo Direct, and it had Chris Pratt's face, and it said Mario down below, and the title was "What?" And I'm just like, yeah, I'm pretty sure this is the way everyone felt after hearing that. Oh, gosh.
I love that Chris Pratt's defense was, you gotta hear the voice that I'm gonna do for it. And I was like, do I? Because I
I'm
feel
more
suddenly
scared.
worse about this.
We're gonna change up Mario. Don't worry. He's not gonna be Italian. He's gonna be something different. Don't worry. It'll be fine. I promise. Anyway, Free Guy. Back to
Yeah.
Free Guy.
I thought Free Guy was a pretty solid movie. It was a very enjoyable ride. It is not a cinematic masterpiece, but it's just kind of fun.
It's no Army of the Dead.
It definitely wasn't leaving me to like start drawing out time loops like Army of the Dead did.
Man, you're surrounding this time loop issue, huh?
Yeah, seriously.
Zooming
You can't get
all
away
angles.
from
All
it.
over it.
Speaking of which, should we just restart the podcast right now and do it all
Hey
over
guys,
again?
welcome to the podcast. That's Aaron.
Oh. Actually, it's probably a good time to end it.
Yeah.
Guys, it was a good podcast. I'm so proud of all of you.
We talked about
Thank
Free
you.
Guy,
Thank
and
you.
now you are Free Guy.
Oh my
I'm
god.
a free guy. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll catch you next time.